I feel like when people butter you up in the card and say you're gonna do great, it's hard stuff. What in the world is this? What the heck? I almost made it, you guys. You know what time it is. It's Mystery Box Challenge Day. I have no idea if the person who sent me this is going to be on the nice list or the naughty list this year, and the only way we're going to find that out is by cracking it open and seeing what crazy stuff I've got to DIY with this round. You're watching Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney, and if this is your first time here, hello and welcome. I'm so glad that this collab brought you to my little corner of YouTube, and I would love it if you stick around here. We love to do things like DIY and budget home decor content, and if you're not new here and you're a whiskey craft buddy, welcome back. I am so glad you are here each and every week to DIY with me, and you guys know the drill about the Mystery Box Challenge, but if you're new, here's a quick little rundown. It's basically like Secret Santa on DIY steroids. I say this every time, and I feel like that's the best way I can succinctly explain it. It was started 5 years ago by my great friend Courtney over at Creative on the Cheap. Since then, it has changed and morphed and new rules and things, and now there is a guest host. So the theme for this box is Holly Jolly Christmas, and if you like that, you can thank Miss Jennifer over at Little Bit of Calm and Crazy. She is the guest host this round. She came up with all the rules. There's 10 items in here. 2 of them are challenge items that are a little bit tricky to DIY with. 1 we could pick, and then 1, I guess we could pick 2, but it had to be out of our recycling. I packed up a box and sent it to Jennifer at Little Bit of Calm and Crazy. I'm really proud of my challenge item I sent to Jennifer. She may not agree, but if you've been watching the mystery box for a while, you've got to see what I sent her. You've got to go there next and check it out, because if you've been watching for a while, like I said, you will laugh really hard and think, this is so fun. My box came to me from my friend Jay over at J Money DIY. If you don't know Jay, be sure to check out her channel. She makes some of the best DIYs, especially Dollar Tree stuff. Like, she works magic. I don't know how she does it. Just do yourself a favor, check out Jay's channel as a part of this collab. You are definitely going to love it. Hi Whitney, I'm always excited when we're paired on the Mystery Box Challenge. I don't know if that's because she likes sending me hard stuff, or I'm gonna take it as we just are good friends. Can't wait to see what you make. I feel like when people butter you up in the card and say you're gonna do great, it's hard stuff in my years of doing this. So we'll see if that reigns true with Jay's box. What in the world is this? What? Right out the gate. Right. I mean, it's cute. We're working with a cute little pink ear-muffed Yeti. Fabric decor from Walmart. Wooden star pieces. Okay. Not mad about that either. I want to jinx myself. Okay, we've got some ribbon. This is cute. Merry Christmas ornament. I think this is another, yep, this is from the Walmart ornament section. It's nice and metal. I could even flip it around because it's nice and blank. What the heck? What? Why is this not a challenge item? Oh my god, what? You guys, there's 3 settings. This is fancy. Boom, boom. What in the heck? Mind you, I haven't even opened the challenge items yet. What the? Jay! We've got some green clay, Play-Doh sculpt and mold. Oh, 2 packs of that, in case I want to go crazy with the green. Okay, and then we've got some red pony beads. Oh, how cute! Well, I have to do something with my dog. I have a black lab rescue, so he looks like a puppy even though he's almost 8. All right, we're gonna go for the challenge items. Well, I'm trying to get this open. The twist this time is we have to incorporate a color, and how we find out the color is right after I unbox this, we're going to spin the wheel together. It's an online like wheel, and if you get red or green, you have to respin, so it has to be a non-traditional Christmas color that you have to work in. We will head over to my computer and do that right after this, so you guys don't think I'm cheating. I'm going to show you my receipts. Okay. I thought she sent me a tripod mount. No, this is actually just the box. Okay, I'm not mad about that. Who knows? That's always the stuff I think of ideas for first. It's the most random stuff, and then it's the easy projects, like, or the easy things that people think, and I'm like, I don't even know what in the world to do with this. So this is probably sender's choice. I almost made it, you guys. bored. So let's do our little spinny and then I can get DIY. Here I am at my computer. Here's the little thing that Jennifer sent. We're gonna hit spin, and the only reason I would respin is if I get red or green, because those are traditional Christmas colors. So here's my hand. You will see it jump if the spin gets cut, and I do another one. Okay, cyan, not terrible. Let's get DIYing and see what I'm gonna come up with all of this hodgepodge ruckus that Jay sent me. First up, we are grabbing the item made of plastic, which is the red pony beads from Walmart. I'm also going to grab some floral wire from my stash and my scissors that I don't care about dulling out when cutting the floral wire. Please don't use your good scissors when you cut the floral wire. Then I grabbed a little container and dumped out the beads because I find they're so much easier to work with. And that piece of wire we're going to cut is about 12 to 14 inches. I'm going to start by putting 25 beads onto my wire piece. You want to make sure you have an odd number. You can do whatever number you want, but I'm going to count out 12. I'm going to take the one end and I'm going to loop it through the 13th bead, which is the center one. So I would have 12 on each side with a 25th one, if the math is mathing for you. Then we're going to take the other side, loop it through that same 13th bead, and it's going to create what looks like the top of a bow. Once I kind of play around with the wire and get everything set, then we're going to work on the little tails at the bottom. I ended up doing 10 on each side. And then when you get those all kind of where you want them, then you're going to take the bottom of the floral wire, loop it back up and around that bottom bead just to hold everything in place. The more beads that you put on that initial strand, the bigger your bow loops are going to be at the top. So you can kind of play around with that. Now, another idea if you want to take these up a notch is you can grab some letter or number beads or charms and add them. So on one side of this one, I'm adding 2024. This would be a really cute keepsake or present topper idea as well, just because pony beads, you can get a huge pack for really inexpensively in whatever color that you want. And the other great thing is you can spell out literally whatever you want. And then to hang them, to make them into ornaments like I'm going to do, I took some jute twine and slid it through that middle bead and just tied it off. I had so much fun making these. I made a variety of different sizes and they look really cute on a greenery garland like this. You could just put them into a garland, present toppers, keepsakes, tons of different options, and you can really play around with the beads. You don't just have to use the red beads. I also use some small wooden beads I've had for years. I haven't had a use for these and I was able to use up so many of them. I actually made a couple different ones. I made one that said Fin 24 like this as a keepsake. You can do this for kids, for friends. And then I also made an Eras Tour commemorative bow. I made 2 of these, one for myself and one for my friend Taylor, who we are going to be heading to Indianapolis next weekend to see Taylor Swift. Courtney has brought back the voting. We do it every round now because you guys love doing it. So you can open the form. You want to make sure you watch all the videos and you can vote for everything from the best box sent to the hardest challenge item to who you think did the best overall. And then Courtney will do a fun little award ceremony and they will always be listed on the playlist when they go live, but unlisted. So that way it won't spoil it for anybody. So I will post it again, but be sure to check back on this date on this playlist and you'll be able to see who won. Up next, from the box from Jay, we are grabbing these wooden star pieces. I also went on a hunt in my Christmas DIY supply bin to find some other wood cutouts that would go with them. I found these tree ornaments from Hobby Lobby, so I just cut off the back, and then I also have some Dollar Tree wood snowflakes. I'm going to lay everything out in kind of a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just kind of want to know how many pieces I would need to cover a wreath shape. Once I did that, I needed to make sure that my holes were filled on my snowflakes. So I grabbed some of this plastic wood. I love having this in my craft room because I can fill holes and gaps and everything, and it dries really fast. It dried in like 10 minutes. I use my finger and I apply it on one side with my other finger underneath the hole, and then I flip it over and do the same, just so then that way the pieces aren't falling in. Let it dry like 10-15 minutes and then go through with just a little bit of sandpaper and sand it flat. I like to touch it to make sure it feels flat. Then outside on some cooling racks for cookies, I am going to spray paint with the color Warm Caramel. You can hand paint these absolutely, but the spray painting and the drying, everything, it just goes way quicker. And another huge plus, I already had that color in my garage, so it was basically like free. That's crafter math to me, so we're just gonna roll with it. Side, grabbed some of my puffy tulip paint and went to work creating some cookie magic.
I did the snowflakes first, just pretty simply, and then I pulled up some images on Pinterest for both the trees and the stars, just to kind of help me. I need a little bit of guidance when it comes to freehanding things, because if I do it, it looks like a blob, but if I look at a picture, I'm in much better shape. With the nature of the puffy paint, you need to give it like 4 to 6 hours to dry. I usually like to do it overnight, but then the next day I was able to come back, have those dry, and add this velvet Dollar Tree bow to an old wreath that I had. And I'm going to lay out my stars and repurpose my wreath. I wanted to get a dry fit going, so then when I was gluing, I didn't glue something down and think, oh, I shouldn't have stuck that there. So I wanted to see it before anything was permanently attached. Then I'm just using a little dollop of hot glue on the back of all of these because they are very light, gluing them around, and I love this. The velvet ribbon bow is just beyond. I cannot believe it's from Dollar Tree. I had an extra one from last year, and it just really makes this wreath. I am hanging it on my blanket ladder near my dining room, which is going to be all gingerbread, with this really fun bow throw that I just got online at TJ Maxx. If it's still available, I will for sure link it for you guys. Next up is our little furry friend. Now, like I said, I want to make this over to look more like my dog, who is a Black Lab Rescue. So the first thing I want to do was remove the hanger piece on the top, because I was going to use this more as like a statue or a trinket versus an ornament. So I just used some jewelry pliers and got that piece right out of the top. Then I went through with some black chalk paint, just making sure that I wasn't like loading it on too much, because I wanted to keep all the nice detail of the fur. So I went in with light coats. It took a little bit longer, but I kept all of the texture, especially in a one colored dog like that. I needed the texture, and I think it went well. I also went through with some different red coloring because I thought the headband and the scarf was a little dull when it was all black. So I freshened up the red, and then it was time to grab our next item, which was this should be a challenge item, but isn't a challenge item, ice cream notebook. I'm about to go to town. It was kind of a hot mess. Just come with me on the journey to get these lights out. After Operation Get the Lights Out in one piece was a success, I had to figure out how I was going to add them to the dog. Then I looked over and saw this box, which was my challenge item, and thought, okay, could I hide the battery pack in here and put the button on the side somehow to make it functional? After a little bit of like backseat engineering, I'm going to call it, I was able to figure out that I could open the side of the box, put the lights through, and then put the box back together so that I could wrap it and make it look like a present. So being cognizant of the fact that that little push on button was going to be on the outside, I wrapped my present like I normally would, but I ended up having these side flaps be on the side of the box where the button was going to be, because I thought that would make it easier for me to place where I wanted it. I did the side without the button first, then I did the side with the button, and I cut a couple slits just to make sure that it would sit in there correctly without kind of falling out, but the present would also not look super janky. After a little bit of finessing, a little bit of tape, I was able to hide the button underneath the top flap, so then that way the lights were coming out, but you could still access the button to turn the lights on and off. I needed to add a little bit of detail to my package, so I used some of the sheer ribbon from Dollar Tree. I think it's actually from Valentine's Day. I don't know. It's been in my closet for a while in my craft room. And I ended up doing like a grid crisscross pattern, but instead of tying it or looping it at the bottom, I just taped the ends so it would sit flat on a surface. What also worked out really great is the ribbon went right over the button on the side, so I can easily find it when I want to turn it on and off. Same with Finn, because I know he's going to love pushing this button. Last step was to take some hot glue, add my dog to the top of my box, and wrap him with the cute little lights. I am so happy with how this turned out. It's one of those things that was like in my head, and I'm like, this is either going to be a huge fail or it's going to work. I love that it looks like Sebastian first and foremost, but then second off, I love that the lights function, and would you guess that they came from a ice cream cone light up notebook? I don't think I would have. All right, let's talk about this sculpt and mold clay. So I didn't read the packaging, which like is the story of my life. So I thought, okay, I'm going to put this down, I'm going to roll it out, and I'm going to cut some little cookie shapes with my craft cookie cutters. That all was fine and good. You know, had to really work it because it was pretty solid. It was more like Play-Doh than it was like an actual clay. But once I got it rolled out, it was fine. I used my craft cookie cutters, cut everything out, and I left them in my craft room overnight to dry out. The next morning I showed up and they were still like smushy. Then I went to my friend Google and here's what I found out. It's non-drying facepalm. So I was like, we're going to press on because at this point, like we're just going to press on. So I went through with some brown paint and I had to paint like 3 to 4 coats on these. But once I did, they finally started to look like the color of cookies and it did dry out a little bit. The paint also helped. Then I used my puff paint, same stuff that I used earlier on the wreath, added all of the same details to my faux cookies, and I placed them on a cute little Santa Claus plate that I got in my thrifting video, which if you like thrifting and want tips for Christmas, be sure to check that out. That's on my channel. I think for the issue that I thought I was going to have, they turned out really cute. They're perfect for staging. This next one's going to focus on my pal, Teddy the Yeti, and unfortunately I had to DIY, so Teddy is going to get a makeover. I started by removing this arm because it was hanging on by a thread, and this thing was put together with probably the cheapest hot glue. Like, some of this is even worse than Dollar Tree hot glue I've dealt with in the past, so cheaply made. However, I was going to press on. I used my scissors, and I tried not to take off, like, too many chunks, but with that cheap hot glue, it kind of looked like Teddy was a small child that got gum stuck in their hair and I had to get it out. So we tried the best we could. I kept the pieces to the side in case I needed it in the future, and then it was time to reassemble once I got all the pieces off. The first thing I needed to do was re-sew the bottom because I removed the feet. So I just took some embroidery thread and just looped it through really simply, just so then that way it wouldn't come unraveled on me. We're going to take that same thread and I'm going to attach the arm backwards so the brown is hidden and it's going to look like a tail. Then if you're a fan of a certain Christmas movie that I know a lot of us love, you might know where I'm going with this, but if not, stick with me, it'll be apparent here shortly. I took the other arm and cut kind of a triangle shape, used the same thread and sewed one side as well as the other to kind of create an ear shape, and then I sewed both of those on to my cat. I went back and forth on do I use eyes, do I not, and I couldn't come up with a shape that didn't seem creepy to me. So instead we are going to have it so the cat is essentially facing away from us. So this is the back of the cat's head. And I found the most perfect little light battery operated strand at my local Menards. We were shopping just for Christmas stuff and I saw this and I bought it for Christmas vacation DIYs and it's just perfect for this. You wrap it around, turn it on, and I have Aunt Bethany's cat. I love it. I also love that there aren't eyes because I'm going to tuck this in my Christmas vacation tree and make it look like the cat is like trying to crawl into the tree to get to the lights. It also is perfect with my Amazon felt bulb garland. So I am so in the mood. I love Christmas movie DIYs. You guys know I go over the top for Christmas vacation. I was so relieved when I got that color because I knew I had a teeny little bit of ribbon in that blue color in my closet. I also decided to use the ornament that came in the box and create a fun winter themed design. So I found some vinyl in the same color and I did some snowflake shapes as well as this Snowflakes or Kisses from Heaven file, which will be over in my free file library. If you want details on that, that will all be down below. And before I applied it to the ornament, I decided to make it just more like a circle because I wasn't going to use it in the context of an ornament. I used my scissors, chopped off the hanger, and then I used some of my little pliers to bend the top part back so it was just a circle. I applied my snowflake decal, and the key here is to start in the center when you're on a curved surface, and also if you need to, you can add slits, but this one wasn't as curved. You can just add slits to your transfer tape, and that will help with the application. Once my circle was covered, I thought it looked a little bare, so I took one of my 1-inch wide snowflakes that I cut, and I cut it in half to put 2 on the top, so it looked like they were kind of falling down from above where the circle started. Then to anchor everything together, I had this sign left over from Finn's train party this past spring. It's just been sitting in my craft closet. I am so happy I got to use up so much stuff for this video. I did a mixture of that challenge color blue and white snowflakes on this chalkboard to make it look like the snowflakes were falling behind. So I wanted it to be both a sign as well as a background stager, because once I had this all on here, I hot glued the circle down, and then I wanted to use this cute little snowman that I recently found in the dollar section at Target. He was $3, but he's very Christmassy, and so I thought, hey, I had such success cutting apart Teddy the Yeti. Why not cut apart Frosty? That name was not even that great, but you know, we're going to roll with it. So we're going to call him Frosty, but yeah, I'm not great with naming. I think Teddy was my one win for this video. I cut apart all the pieces, and this one was a lot easier to disassemble. I glued the hands back down, and then I used that ribbon that I mentioned before to give Frosty a really cute bow. I originally thought I needed to cover the earmuffs, but I think the red and the blue still feel winter. Red just feels like a fun pop of color instead of this being like, oh my gosh, it's Christmas, especially because I removed the candy cane. I double knotted it and cut slits in the end of the ribbon to make it look more like a scarf, and voila! I had a lot of you guys say in my Christmas DIY video that you are looking forward to making new memories this holiday because maybe you've lost a loved one or you're trying to find joy in the season again. And I thought that this saying was perfect. So if you are one of those folks or you know somebody that's going to be missing somebody this holiday season, this is a great gift to make because they can use it well past the holiday season. And it also goes really great with these iridescent, kind of holographic looking trees from Target because it pulls the blue that's in the scarf of the snowman. I just love this one. It took me quite a long time to figure out what I was going to do with this ribbon, mainly because everything in this video is pretty colorful Christmas-wise. So the neutral stuff, sometimes it's hard for me to switch gears. So I finally came up with an idea using this foam piece in the ribbon. So I started by measuring around the bottom of the cone and trimming it with my scissors. Then I took the piece of ribbon, folded it in half, and used my little Cricut Easy Press tool to get a crease down the center because I wanted it to kind of stick out on its own. Then I took that piece and cut up to the center slit line, and I used the grid of the buffalo check to help me. I just went over 2 stripes and cut, so then that way everything was pretty even. Then I took some hot glue with the side that wasn't cut on the bottom, so the slits are facing up, and then they are bending outward to the bottom of my like foam piece that looks like a tree. I continued that process up the entire foam piece, and what I like about this versus a traditional ribbon tree is that you don't have to cut a bunch of individual pieces. You can wrap the strip around, and by pressing it, then you are having your pieces kind of, you know, pop out like a tree. I made it all the way to the top, and then I finished it off with a circular cut piece of ribbon. And then I glued some jute twine to the top to give a really solid, sturdy base for my topper. I didn't do a star because I wanted to use it well past Christmas, have it be more winter. So these are Dollar Tree snowflakes that I glued 3 of them together to make it super thick. And then I glued the piece onto some black fabric that I had and trimmed it down so then that way the green of the foam wasn't showing on the bottom. This came together pretty easily, and I like it styled here with just a little woodland figure and some pine cones. You can really do whatever fits your home, but a lot of you were asking for winter ideas, so really a lot of the stuff we're doing, especially with trees, you can do greens or neutrals like this and keep it up well past Christmas. Now on the other hand, if you are looking for a Christmas tree, I had another one and decided to make a red and white one for my gingerbread setup. Now this wasn't anything that was included in the box, so it's a little outside of the challenge, but I made another one because I wanted to show you guys that if you wanted a Christmas vibe, you could do that as well. And now, drumroll please, the moment you've all been waiting for, what is going to become of Simon Skeleton? I had no idea. This thing was sitting there for so long, and then I decided to grab some felt and just start making. As I am putting this together, you guys will probably realize, some of you probably right now know exactly what I'm making, and I am not a seamstress. I am not a maker of outfits for dolls or, you know, Simon, but we pressed on. So I started with the hat, the quintessential green kind of cone hat, added some hot glue to add a strip of yellow as well as a little hand cut red feather. Then we needed some tights. So again, I just am winging this pattern because I'm not a sewer. I've made a lot of like movie inspired outfits. I actually did one last year for Christmas vacation. Christina from Christina Elizabeth sent me a window cover like for your car when it's hot out to block the sun, a sunshade. Yeah, that's what it's called. And I turned that into a Todd and Margot like workout suit. So this, my process is not like straightforward. I don't really know how to explain it. I just kind of use hot glue to do the seams, and yeah. So I glued together 2 cutouts of pants, and then I flipped them inside out, and by the grace of, you know, the Christmas powers that be, there is a way that they fit. So then I decided to do some black felt for the little elf shoes, and the feet would not fit. So instead of frustrating myself, I just popped them right on, and Simon no longer has feet, but you know, that's okay. We're going to add those to the feet, and they actually ended up working out just fine. And then the level of me winging it through the top, like, coat, longer coat process, we got there. Just wait till you see the end process, because I think it turned out really cute, but it is a process. So I ended up cutting a piece for the back, and then I cut the same size and cut it down the center so that I could kind of create a jacket. I glued it, flipped it inside out, and decided to do the sleeves separate. Once I had his little coat on, I glued it to him because this is not coming off. Simon is going to now be known as Buddy. And then I just kept using more hot glue to get everything glued on. Once that part was on, we're going to add a belt. And then we are going to add the arms or the sleeves. And I did that by just rolling the felt around the arms, gluing it, and trimming it down. Then we're going to use more hot glue, and we're just going to make it stay up there in the shoulder area, which ended up working out just fine. And then Elf Skelly needed the like white bib thing that is on Buddy the Elf's costume. So I cut that out freehand. Everything's free-handed because I am not good at making patterns either. I turned on the Elf soundtrack and I just tried to channel as much as I could the feeling of the movie, and it ended up working. You know, with a little hot glue and a dream, we made it, friends. We made it. For the sleeve cuffs, I used some of this yarn that I had left over from the last mystery box from Wendy at White Sparrow Living and wrapped that around. I wouldn't recommend doing this if you're going to try to recreate, you know, making an outfit for a doll or your own skeleton if you feel so inclined. But this worked just fine for what I needed because I wanted him to be fluffy. Then I thought, Simon needs a wig if he's truly going to be Buddy the Elf. So I had this brown yarn in my yarn pile, and what I liked is that it had a few different strands within it, and so I glued the pieces onto the head of the skeleton. I unraveled them, and then I gave him a haircut to kind of look like Buddy's curly hair. It wasn't as curly as I wanted, but I think it worked out okay. But once he got a haircut, and he got some extra little pieces on his jacket for details, basically I feel like this is the like decor version of, in my mind it's Christmas, but it's currently Halloween. If you see those memes like, you know, November 1st, I'm going into Christmas mode. That's what I feel like. I think he's gonna live up on the shelf next to the Grinch that Courtney sent me on my mystery box shelf, because I think that's just perfect. So as a quick reminder, here is everything that Jay sent me in my box, and here are all of the things that I was able to create with these fun items. I always give the people that send hard boxes slack, but I also enjoy sending hard boxes, so no harm, no foul. Still love you, Jay. This definitely gave me a challenge, and I made some fun projects and laughed a lot along the way. Up next for you is Jennifer's video over at Little Bit of Calm and Crazy. The full information on the playlist to watch in a loop for everybody's video is going to be down below, and also be sure to head over to the voting form within the next week when this goes up, so then that way you can vote for your favorite items, you can vote for your favorite challenge items, all the things, and also be sure to give this video a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments which project was your favorite. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe before you leave so you don't miss a future video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!